Got mouthpiece? Mouthpiece? All right. Belt line's good here. Belt line's good here. Gentlemen, you got your instructions in the back. Protect yourselves at all times. Listen to my commands. Touch them up. Back to your corner, gentlemen.
Here's another fighter, Max Kellerman.
Bravo. Good.
Estrada has been at or near the top of every division he's competed in. But he's never been the man.
Stay in your corner.
At some point, he wants to establish himself as the man.
But this is a holding action. You don't get to be established as the man by beating a guy who already has 3 losses and whom you know from your days of competing on the same amateur team, sparring against each other. I don't know. I just think that it has to be psychologically a tougher fight than the public expects, because Mendez knows Estrada so well and has a natural incentive, Roy, to want to do well against him.
Yeah, he does have a natural incentive to want to do well against him, but to me, that makes you get even higher on your P's and Q's, because you know the opponent knows what he's dealing with, and that's the difference in a trap fight. A trap fight, you usually get caught into a fight that you don't know what you're dealing with, and it usually turns out to be more than what you expect. In this case, it can't be a trap because you knew what it was. You sparred with him several times. You were on a team with him for years. You know what he is.
How does the height and range advantage for Mendez figure into what Estrada will want to do?
Well, it figures into it good right now, Jim, because Mendez is doing a good job of punching like on the end of his punches. So by keeping Estrada outside, he's doing a great job with it. Estrada has to get inside those punches and try to figure out how to counter those shots. Right now, he's not doing a good job of it.
Like most Mexican fighters, or skillful Mexican fighters, Estrada has a high-quality body attack when he does get inside the opponent's arms, and most particularly, of course, the trademark Mexican punch, the left hook to the body. So he'll be working to try to set himself to land that shot, which has been pivotal to so many of his victories in the past.
And the different thing you see right now is, like Max says, one guy seems a little bit more fluent, and that would be Estrada. He seems fluent when he throws his punches, whereas Mendez seems like he struggles with a punch pattern. It doesn't come as fluently as Estrada's does.
Mendez very freely said to us yesterday, I admire Estrada. I've been proud of the things that he's done because we competed together on the same team. We did not expect to wind up in the ring against each other. This is an unusual piece of business that's taking place partially because Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, who was originally scheduled to be on this card, fell out with an injury. And there was an empty space, which these two guys stepped in to fill because this happens to present a better paycheck than the fights for which both of them were scheduled against other fighters.
And they both spoke, well, I must say, Mendez spoke of Estrada catching him with some good shots when they sparred, and they're catching each other with some good shots tonight in this real fight. We just have to see what happens, because in the sparring, both guys also admitted to saying that Mendez was the puncher and Estrada is the boxer, or the counter puncher. So we'll have to see what happens.
Time right there.
Pretty even first round. 20 landed punches for Estrada to only 10 for Mendez, however, by CompuBox count.
How are you feeling?
Good, good, good.
Good?
Not gonna put water on you. It's out. The nose.
Oye, pégale abajo. O sea, está bien lo que estás haciendo.
To the body.
Pero no,
it's good what you're doing, but
ahorita va a salir con todo él.
you know he's gonna come out with everything, okay? He's got his mouth open already, all right? No, touch the body, touch the belly. How you doing? You good? You good? All right.
También tú mantén tu condición.
And you keep your physical conditioning. Impose yourself.
So after first round in which Estrada landed 20 out of 70 to 10 out of 78 for Mendez, they come back out to face each other. We were drawn into a continuing series of fights in the divisions between 112 and 118 by the colossal record of Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez of Nicaragua, who rose to become the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Chocolatito ran aground against Srisaket Sorung Visai. Estrada stepped in, became the Latino face of these divisions, and has fought very well. But nobody has yet managed to knock off Sorung Visai off the perch that he earned by first edging Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez in a questionable decision in Madison Square Garden, and then knocking him out here at StubHub Center in Carson, California. So he's the kingpin that both of these fighters and others in this weight neighborhood look to get into the ring with. One, two, three. Quick combination by Estrada.
I love Chocolatito's record, but I hadn't seen enough of his. He didn't show me enough diversity for him to be put on the #1 pound-for-pound guy. He could fight coming forward, but he never showed that he could fight going backwards or to the left or right. So I didn't never think he had deserved yet to be on that pound-for-pound list because we hadn't seen him fight in enough directions.
Well, it was the record that did it.
Yeah,
he was 44-0 with 38 knockouts, and had sought pretty tough competition. But I do hear what you're saying about the absence of a complete style portfolio.
And that's what boxing pound for pound means. Lomachenko was 1-1 or 1-0 when I realized he was probably the best fighter on the planet because he had all the necessary tools. Now we couldn't give it to him yet because he hadn't fought nobody like Chocolatito had done already, but he did show all the skills.
To me, you can be one-dimensional and still be the best if you beat everybody, which he was doing. But Andre Ward had not lost, and in my view, never lost that distinction.
Right.
Here, Estrada is doing what he normally does. Class tells over time, and as rounds mount, he usually puts distance between himself and his opponent.
Yeah, well, I hear you, but Mike Tyson was a very dominant man, but I would never call Mike Tyson pound for pound the best because nobody wasn't going to beat him in his prime, but he wasn't showing you backing up, going forward. He wasn't a pound-for-pound guy. So pound-for-pound don't mean that you're that dominant. Pound-for-pound means that you can do everything and you're dominant.
If I had a voice, I'd argue with you.
I know.
Well, right now, the top 2 pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Right now, the top 2 pound-for-pound fighters in the world on almost every listing are Lomachenko and Terence Crawford.
Listen for the bell,
and
gentlemen.
I think
Listen
that
for that bell.
they fulfill the standard you're looking for.
They do. They fulfilled it back then. That's what my point was. That's why I didn't understand how he skipped them.
Usually, those are the best fighters.
February 12, it's The Many Lives of Nick Bonaconti, an HBO Sports documentary chronicling the remarkable path of the NFL Hall of Famer from his playing days to his crusade to cure paralysis to his own very uncertain future. The Many Lives of Nick Bonaconti.
Keep him at range with that jab, right? Don't get too close.
Later night, we're going to be seeing.
Get your second
Talk
win
about
now.
that in a moment. Let's take a look
He
at the
see
replay.
Estrada land a good right hand right over the top of that Mendez jab. That was pretty good. A good boxing move. Then you see him come back and throw a jab, a left hook, set up to throw away to land a straight right hand, which was another good shot and another great boxing move.
So Estrada has the skills.
Yes, he does, without a doubt.
I was about to say that in the main event, you're going to be seeing a woman fighting against Cecilia Breakhouse, who is originally from Poland, now living in the United States, Alexandra Magdash Lopes, and she is a practicing civil attorney. And the reason I bring it up is because it's not often that we see a practicing attorney who fights as a professional boxer at the same time. Nick Bonaconti was a practicing attorney and a successful one while he played in the NFL. That's pretty equally as rare, I think.
Yep.
We're in round 3, and already it appears that competitive distance is growing between Estrada and Mendez. Estrada has figured out what Mendez is going to try to do, and he's now working around it and building up much bigger leads in overall punch numbers and CompuBox numbers in power punches than were the case early in the fight. So I think the bottom line is whatever Estrada needed to learn to know exactly what he was going to do against Mendez tonight, he's probably already learned it, Roy.
Yeah, what he's basically doing is he's in front of Mendez. So he's making the moves to make Mendez do something. Then he's also adjusting to that or countering that move that he makes Mendez do. Mendez is having a hard time because he's just a lead fighter. He doesn't come back off of Estrada's punches with good counters.
And Estrada also has the defensive finesse necessary to make Mendez miss at short range.
That's what a great counterpuncher can do.
Four-punch combination for Estrada. Mendez fires back with a left hook. Estrada creating distance, though, and stepping away from the next two Mendez offerings. And you're looking at basically a technical clinic here from Juan Francisco Estrada.
You're looking at two guys that are very technical, and both of them pretty good punchers.
The hand speed of bantamweight fighters, when they're in gear and fighting well, a magnificent thing to behold.
Yes, it is.
So on this last night of HBO boxing, we are commemorating a lot of things that have identified the telecast and made it memorable over the years. And of course, one of them is our unique and incomparable unofficial ringside scorer who made his first appearance on HBO's boxing telecast back in 1986. March 22, 1986, Pinklon Thomas against Trevor Berbick, Harold's first HBO appearance.
Well, Larry, at this point, I think it's a very even fight. Pinklon Thomas, when he stays outside, just like Ray and Barry have been saying, and uses his jab, he does well. But Trevor's been staying inside and banging the body.
And he doesn't sound all that different now, some 32 years later. And as we get ready to go to round number 4 of a Schedule 10, it's time for us once again to check in with our unofficial scorer, Harold Letterman. Harold, how do you have it so far?
Okay, Jim, thank you. I have it 3-0, 30-27, Juan Francisco Estrada. You know, Jim, I think that he's just landing the cleaner punches, keeping the fight in the middle of the ring, doing more damage, you know. He keeps backing up Mendez the entire fight, and I think he's taking it to Mendez and landing better shots, winning the rounds by landing the better shots. 3-0, Juan Francisco Estrada.
Harold, I'm not telling you anything you don't know when I say that you are universally beloved by boxing fans. You are perhaps the most universally beloved element of our telecast over these past 45 years. And rest assured, for whatever it means to you, I don't think anybody on any television network will ever score fights into the distant future without being compared to you. Thank you, Harold.
You're welcome, Jim.
So now we come back to the action in round number 4. And of course, he'll be with us again several times as the night progresses. But Estrada versus Mendez is the business of the moment, and to this point in the fight, CompuBox finds Estrada landing 80 punches out of 266 to Mendez 29 out of 264, which, Roy, means that the great counterpuncher, as you called him, is landing 30% of his punches and reducing the opponent to an 11% connect percentage.
Yes, because he's punching before the opponent, he's punching after the opponent, he's punching between the opponent's punches. He is truly putting on a boxing lesson, and the opponent is kind of just, he's just fighting. You know, he's just trying to land a good shot when he can, but he's not really trying to set anything up.
Which makes it so interesting that the records don't look all that different on paper. Estrada's record, 37-3-0 with 25 KOs. Mendez's record, 28-3-2 with 20 KOs. But what you don't see in the pure numbers is who did they fight and when did they fight them. And surely the level of competition has been just a little bit different.
Much different, and that's what we're seeing in this fight. That's why you're seeing one guy seem to be so much more of actually a class above the other guy. Not a total class, but you can see the difference. And the difference is that experience factor.
You can see that Estrada can throw single punches one at a time and place them where he wants to, usually land them, or then he can step up and throw 3- and 4-punch combinations and often land every punch in the combination.
Estrada had a great fight and loss with Chocolatito Gonzalez. Real tough, close loss against Soren Desai. Beat Quadras, beat Marquez, beat Segura, beat Valoria, rather. It's a who's who.
And them are some good damn fighters you calling off that he beat.
Good damn
Some good fighters.
And when we say Marquez, rest assured, that's not Rafael Marquez, that's not Juan Manuel Marquez, that's Hernan Tyson Marquez, who was
fighters.
as good as them, but in the lower weight classes.
Deep breath, deep breath. Deep breath, deep breath. Give him water.
Wipe it down.
Hey, vamos repitiendo.
Hey, come on, let's repeat it.
Vamos repitiendo el mismo golpe.
Let's repeat it. We're repeating the same punch, son. You gotta throw the uppercut, but more on the inside. And then a lateral, and then the right over the top. All right? Don't stay doing the same thing. You're taking his punches, boom, boom, and then over the top.
Combinations like this, uppercut, followed by roll under, and then come with a straight right hand over the top. Those are the type of combinations that let you know a guy is experienced and really knows what he's doing inside that square circle.
It's really interesting because Mendez suggested to us yesterday, he said, hey, you know, our sparring sessions were give and take. They weren't one-sided sparring sessions. We were pretty close with each other. You know, I feel like I know him well enough that I can get something done. And already, as we come just to the 5th round of a Schedule 10, Estrada has landed 34 punches, excuse me. He has landed 80 more punches in the fight to this point than has been the case for Mendez. So he's put a lot of distance between himself and his neighborly opponent in this showcase at StubHub Center in Carson.
Well, if you think about it, Mendez came out as the aggressor first. Now we see Estrada stalking him, making him punch so that he can counter.
And that's just because Estrada's making harder, heavier contact, right?
That, and he wants the punches. He wants to force Mendez to punch so that he can land the counters. This is true Mexican-style boxing. See those body shots right there off of that hook to the head? That's really good Mexican fighting.
Were there times in your career, Roy, when you would say to yourself, I'm going to go Mexican style here?
All the time. All the time. And what that meant was you're going to stand in the gap, just like that, throw them body shots, but you're going to stand in the gap, make him punch, make him miss, and counter with head and body shots.
Canelo Alvarez has been accused by some of not being, quote, a Mexican-style fighter. Is he a Mexican-style fighter?
He proved that to everybody on the planet in the last fight he had against Triple G. He showed Triple G what Mexican-style fighting really was about. I mean, Triple G did a good job of it too, but Canelo finally showed people that he knows how to fight Mexican style.
Mexican style, you gotta go to the body.
And that's what he did.
Yep. And Mexican style means you're more concerned with hurting the other guy than protecting yourself.
And that's what he did. All the things you're saying are exactly what Canelo did in the second fight, which is, like I said, if we judge that second fight as a boxing match, you could have called it even, or you could have even gave it to Triple G by a round. But because they said Mexican style, you had to give it to Canelo.
Juan Manuel Marquez was a brilliant and creative counter-puncher. Counter-punching was his style. Was he a Mexican-style fighter?
Yes, he was a Mexican-style fighter. The only thing Juan Marquez didn't have in the beginning was he didn't have that big punch like most Mexicans have. He had a great Mexican style, but he wasn't a one-punch knockout guy. Later in his career, we found him to become a super guy that could actually knock you out.
Listen for the bell, gentlemen.
But he definitely was Mexican style.
And we're having this discussion, of course, because we're watching Juan Francisco Estrada, who is an emblematic practitioner of the Mexican style right now. And there's Cecilia Braicus, #1 ranked woman fighter in the world, 34-0. One of only 4 fighters, male or female, ever to collect all 4 official belts in her weight class. Here's a closer look from Bergen, Norway, where she arrived at age 2 from Colombia. She's 37 years old now, so she may be pushing the limit of her career in terms of the age envelope, 34-0 with 9 KOs. It was because of Cecilia Braicus's record and her attraction as a fighting commodity that the nation of Norway removed its 33-year-long ban on professional boxing. You can say that she individually is the reason why a nation made boxing legal again. And the other 3 fighters ever to have collected all 4 belts officially in one weight class are Bernard Hopkins and Jermaine Taylor, who took them from him, and Terrence Crawford, who has all 4 belts in his weight class right now. Or no, excuse me, who left behind all 4 belts in the 140-pound weight class to move up to 147, where he has a belt now. I'm not sure you were afflicted by the 4-belt syndrome at any time in your career, Roy.
Yeah, I was afflicted by it because I wanted Darius Mikucheski to bring that WBO belt over here and put it on the line, but he wanted me to bring all 3 of my belts to Germany, where I had seen some pretty unlikable decisions take place. And after being robbed in the Seoul Olympic Games as an Olympian, I didn't see it smart to take 3 or 4 belts that I had all the way to Germany to give him an opportunity for his 1 WBO belt. So I didn't get the opportunity to take it.
And if you saw Mr. Mikuchevsky tomorrow on the street, would you say to him again, you know, it wasn't really fair if you'd want me to come all the way to Germany with my 3 belts?
I said the same thing all over again, because HBO even offered him good money to bring that belt over here and put it on the line.
He was on the ballot for the International Boxing Hall of Fame this year and did not get in. Do you think Mikuchevsky deserves entry into the International Boxing Hall of Fame?
He dominated over there in Germany for a long time, so I could see, you know, it's hard for me not to say any fighter deserves it, because fighters put their lives on the line every time. So it's hard for me to be the guy to say, oh, he don't deserve it. No, I can't tell you that. You never know what might happen to a guy. I mean, God bless Adonis Stevens, but we never thought he'd be in that situation. So you never know, man. Every fighter that's willing to go in that ring, in my opinion, can be put in the Hall of Fame.
And we, of course, extend our best wishes to Adonis Stevens, who emerged as a star here on HBO, who won the light heavyweight championship of the world from Chad Dawson with a spectacular knockout here on HBO, and had some other thrilling performances here as well. We know Adonis and have spent time with him, so all 3 of us and everyone at HBO Boxing wants to extend their best wishes and encouragement to Adonis as he attempts his recovery from brain surgery following his loss to Alexander Gvozdyk. And by the way, you picked Gvozdyk to beat him.
Yes, I did. I know Gvozdyk. I've been watching Gvozdyk for a long time. Gvozdyk beat Isaac Chilemba, whom I had, and he really took Isaac apart early, and Isaac threw his shoulder out, but that to me wasn't the reason. I thought Gvozdyk was just a better fighter too.
We're surprised that Stevenson wound up in the compromised circumstances he now faces as a result of Gvozdyk, because Gvozdyk's not seen as a heavy puncher.
Yeah, he is. He's a very heavy puncher.
Okay, I'm wrong. This Tuesday, it's the premiere of Momentum Generation, a documentary film telling the story of how the world of surfing was transformed by a group of the sport's legendary figures in the 1990s. And in recognition of the anniversary of Joe Namath's legendary Super Bowl III guarantee, look for an encore presentation of Namath, January 12, 50 years to the day after Super Bowl III.
You gotta box him, okay? Box him so you can recuperate yourself, okay? Box him. You know?
Por arriba, porque a él se queda en guardia, se
He
cierra,
calls yourself like
puede
this,
por el lado.
okay? But you can come in on the sides, all right?
Dice al frente, Juan. Tienes que
Pressure, Juan.
And we're heading into round 7 of this 118-pound over the weight limit fight between Juan Francisco Estrada in the the black trunks with white streaks down the side, and Victor Mendez in the black trunks with gold trim. Harold, how do you have it so far?
Okay, Jim. I've got it 6-0, 60-54. Juan Francisco Estrada. I just think that he's dominating this fight. I think he's won every round. You know, he keeps the fight in the middle of the ring, and he's got much quicker hands, and he lands a lot more punches than Victor Mendez does. And I think he's absolutely dominating the fight so far. I've got it a shutout. Juan Francisco Estrada winning every round.
All right, we're discussing a lot of boxing topics on this last night at ringside, and Harold's scorecard verifies that we see this as a fight which Estrada is controlling pretty effectively. You corrected me, Roy Jones, when I suggested that I don't think Vosdick was seen as all that big a puncher. So elaborate on that, because my impression was that his best weapon was his jab.
Okay. Now, I'm glad you asked me that again, Jim. The thing that happened is this is the compromise situation that boxing puts you in sometimes. Vosdick already knew, because of going to Canada, if he went to Canada and did not come away with a knockout, he was not going to beat Adonis Stevenson. And as a matter of fact, he was losing the fight on 2 of the cards when the fight ended that most people thought he was kind of winning.
Underlining your point.
Exactly. So you knew he was coming with a different mindset and a different strategy. He knew going into the champion's hometown, he needed to go there to take the champion out. And I know right now, Fury wish he'd have done the same thing against the Brown Bum.
I'm not sure that Fury, though, has the puncher's instinct or skills to finish a man the way Vosdick did.
Yeah, I'm not saying he has that either, but I'm just saying that's the way you see it, because I know he feels as though he won the fight, but he didn't get the knockout, so he got a draw.
Did you score Fury versus Wilder?
No, I didn't score, and I haven't seen the entire fight yet, Jim. From the highlights I've seen, looked like Fury was pretty dominant, and I expected Fury to be a little bit dominant, but I did expect him probably to get caught every now and then, too. So I don't know how the 2 knockdowns play in the scoring of the fight.
I remember way back years ago, early in Fury's career, our dear friend Emmanuel Stewart was training him. And I asked him one day, I said, is Tyson Fury any good? And he said, Jim, you're going to hate watching him. I think a lot of people will hate watching him, and he will be the heavyweight champion. And I said, why do you say that? He said he's 6 feet 10 inches tall. His arms are even longer than they ought to be for that height. He has ambidextrous hand skills. His feet move very well. And his first thought is always defense. So go try to beat that. And it turns out Emmanuel was right about how difficult it is to beat Tyson Fury.
Like Deontay Wilder, he has something inside him that's special, that made him get up from that 12th round knockdown, where almost any other fighter would have been counted out.
And there is Alexandra Magdiak-Lopes, whom we were discussing earlier as a practicing attorney, a civil attorney with a workman's compensation case practice, who trains in the same gym in Broxton, Massachusetts that produced Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And it appears, by the way, that Mendez is not going to come out for the next round. We're looking into the corner of Mendez's corner, and it certainly appears to us that they are not going to allow Mendez to come out for the next round in the fight, which would have been the 8th. So CompuBox numbers through the 7th show a tremendously one-sided Estrada edge over Mendez. It was getting bigger from round to round to round, and I think that's probably a good decision. Whether it's the doctor or the corner is making this decision, there was nothing to be gained, Roy.
Nope, nothing that ought to be gained. He hit Mendez, he hit Estrada with his best punches. Nothing happened, so I don't see no way that he could have possibly come back and won the fight.
All right. Ring announcer Joe Martinez is coming to the corner of the ring now, ready with the particulars on this, so let's go to Joe right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end of round number 7. The blue corner requests this bout come to a halt. Therefore, declaring your winner by KO from Puerto Peñasco, Sonora, Mexico, El Gallo, Juan Francisco Estrada.
let's take a look at the final CompuBox numbers here very quickly. Totally one-sided in favor of Estrada, who landed 3 times as many punches at least. They threw a similar number, but when one guy's landing 37% and the other guy's landing only 12%, and the guy landing 37% is the harder puncher of the two, there's no reason to go much further with the so-called combat. Power shots, in the power punching category,